Attention carriers, brokers, and dispatchers. You're tuned into the eCarrierCheck channel, where we bring you the insider tips, tricks, and insights to drive your sales and logistics business to new heights. Each week, your hosts, Jared and Nate, sit down with the top professionals in the industry, diving deep into everything from prospecting and cold calling to maintaining carrier relationships and maximizing your bottom line. Learn real-world strategies, hear success stories, and get actionable advice you can implement in your business today. So buckle up and get ready for an entertaining and informative ride. This is the eCarrierCheck channel, your source for can't-miss logistics intelligence. Stay tuned.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the eCarrierCheck show. Excited to be here. It's Friday. We're a couple weeks away from Christmas. And man, it's just been a powerful week. I'm so excited to have you on, Nate. Nate, what's up, brother? We're breaking down news. We're breaking down some of the biggest headlines of the year. But I want to hear about your week. I want to hear about you. Give it to me.
Hear about
Give
me,
it
man.
to me.
Honestly, we did a lot of reflecting just before this week, so I'm excited to talk about the year. But this week has been really, really awesome. We talked with so many brokers this week and carriers, as a matter of fact. So, it's been a great week, and honestly, just kind of flew by, just kind of like the year. The volume's kind of low. I'll get that jacked up here. Let me know if that's a little bit better, DIY. Thanks for being here.
Thanksgiving edition.
I did start. Yeah, it's not Thanksgiving edition. Sorry about that.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
I can update that title here in a second. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about the year. When we were kind of looking at some of those articles or those things that were subscribed to, the news articles.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining to see how the year kind of went.
Oh my!
You kind of forget about what happened and
you do.
And whatnot.
You do. I got to tell you though, one of my favorite things to do in my personal life is I love to look through all of my emails.
Yep.
I like to look through my calendar, but was something that my daughter and I did, as we go through all of the pictures that her and I have taken on our phones, and my wife likes to do this, and we just sit there and kind of recap the year. And honestly, I don't know about you guys, but the news, the media, everything moves so damn fast that it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but just so you know, U.S. elected Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like that was forever ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I love to look back. I like to just see what's going on. I would be curious from everyone watching so far, what was the biggest news story for you?
Yeah.
What was it that affected you? Something local. I'd love to throw it in the notes. I'd love to hear what their biggest news stories were.
And if you're watching from LinkedIn, we aren't doing cold calls, and it's not Thanksgiving edition.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I messed up on the header here, but we're just talking about the 2024 recap in trucking. So I'm excited for everyone to join today. Like Jared said, throw in some of the things that kind of caught your guys' attention, maybe affected you this year.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, let's talk through that. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited. Jared.
I'll kick it off.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the largest news stories. I was looking over the numbers last weekend. It's been a decent year overall. Yeah.
I love to hear that.
I think that if you were able to control your costs, if you were able to get out there and still make waves with finding new clients, which was tough this year.
Yeah.
I think if you were a carrier that, Samantha Jones said something a couple weeks ago when she was on, said, if you were a carrier that bought your truck at the right cost, at the right interest level, you have a better chance than those people that overbought and had a higher interest level, right? And so your payments weren't as big. Obviously, the struggle was real though this year. You know what I mean? We saw thousands of carriers go out of business. here was a number. I want to tell you this one. This one's even more interesting. There was an average of 257 freight brokers that closed every month this year in America.
Wow.
That's wild.
Is that the most you've seen or heard in your time in this industry?
Yeah. I mean, I think we saw such a huge uptick in signups. The double brokering situation, I think, added a lot of that. I think we still actually haven't really seen who should be in and out, because there's probably still a lot of those ghost companies that are in there.
Right.
Accidentally bought 2 trailers yesterday at auction.
What time you accidentally win? Yeah. God.
Oh my gosh, I love that though. Honestly, I'm a big fan of that. Like, if you got them at a good price, hey,
sit on them and
just get them road ready, and let's get somebody moving them. You know what I mean?
I love auctions, but I'm with you, man. Accidentally, I didn't buy any trailers, but I bought a table that maybe I didn't need or didn't have room for. So I mean, I hope that you were happy with it at least. DIY.
I would be curious. Were you by chance having like a beer? Were you
had your number?
I got a buddy that loves auctions. I mean, loves auctions, and he has walked away with some of the most interesting currency. He loves to collect old currency, and like old coins and dollar bills and things like that.
That's entertaining stuff.
But a couple beers later, he's like, "Oh shit, I bought a couple different things." So
yeah, you just never know what you'll buy. You know what I mean? And how it could be profitable down the road.
Exactly.
So you just never know.
Another huge news story was theft this year.
Yeah.
We've talked about the theft this year. We've talked about California being just brutal. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this on the news. They were showing, trains going down, this area and just outside of LA, and people are just robbing those trains. Do you remember those videos?
Yeah.
Absolutely out of control.
When we talk about California, like the way you make it seem, it's like it's just a completely different country, right?
This is exactly.
It's crazy.
I don't know. Do we have anyone that watches on here from California? Definitely a different level. DIY, you're on a different level. I actually buy 10 chicken wings instead of 5, but you never accidentally buy a trailer.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, I accidentally buy 10 chicken wings. Oh my gosh, I love that. So the theft was crazy. We saw those people robbing trains.
Yeah.
Out of control to a certain extent. Obviously, electronics. If you manufacture, if you're the hardware supplier of electronics, boy howdy,
took a hit.
2025, you've got to get a handle on how are you going to ship your product out of California with electronics, because it was a mega number that those people saw in losses.
And I don't know what they do to help that. You're in SoCal. Oh, really?
I was in SoCal. No kidding.
Okay, awesome.
That is awesome.
For some reason I thought you were in Arizona, but that's cool.
I wonder if Bella's ever lost a load. Is anyone, because she does produce, anyone ever steal a load of like onions or tomatoes?
Or got their load stolen?
Yeah, like you got blueberries and you're just like, well, they're those.
If you're stealing a load of onions, like, get away from me.
Dude.
I hate onions.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Are you the guy that, like, when you get sick, do you put onions in your socks?
No. I hate onions that much. I don't even.
Let me tell
They're
you.
not even in my house.
I got to tell you a story.
No onions in my house.
This is terrible. My wife and I thought this was a good idea. We were living in Boston. I was sick as a dog. When I get sick, I turn into just a pile of crap. Okay? I mean, I
heard that's how men do. That's how men do it. Right?
I'm just a pile.
It's a little bit harder.
My wife she goes, let's put some onions in your socks tonight. And I said, I think it's a good idea. So we get some socks out. We put onions in. I get longer socks so they make sure they stay in. Yeah. I'm not kidding you. We ruined our blankets and sheets. They stunk so bad we couldn't get that smell out.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Yeah.
You're going to ruin sheets if you do.
That's fair. That's fair.
Not produce for me. I got some coffee stolen before. No kidding. Isn't that a weird? It was stolen on PA though. Yeah. Wow.
That's probably
a weird
Jared
amount.
Loves coffee.
That's a weird amount. I love coffee though.
That's
a weird amount of coffee. Can you imagine?
Holy. When you think about ways of people kind of, do they package it differently? Like, how do you really stop this from happening? You know what I mean? Like, if you got electronic devices and someone sees, oh, there's a bunch of Apple computers or whatever, but it's like, how do you really hide that stuff?
I always, when we were moving tobacco, they always use black shrink wrap, and I'm like, that just adds to the secrecy. It's like your parents telling you not to go in this room during Christmas, and then you go in that room during Christmas. Black shrink wrap on a pallet on a truck tells me
that's important.
What is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have a solution for that. Yeah. We had a meeting with Saks Fifth Avenue out of Miami, and they had a high theft both internal and external terminals. Jason friggin' Brown, what is up, brother? I haven't talked to this guy forever. This guy used to be the OS&D dude at Nebraska Transport. Incredible guy. I love this guy. Awesome. And then my favorite, I got to tell you a personal story. This dude was doing like theft recovery at Walmart, and he'd be like hiding in like clothes racks and stuff. Man, he was nuts. I love this guy. He had some crazy stories. Awesome. This guy was insane. Jason Brown, what's up, brother? It's good to see you on. I hope you and your family have a Merry Christmas. I haven't seen you forever, so thanks for being on.
I see you're on LinkedIn here. We aren't doing cold calls today. It's not Thanksgiving. We understand that.
My bad.
That's on me.
Bella, what was the biggest news story you've seen? Jason Brown, any of you watching, what was the biggest news story you've seen this year that affected your life? We'll keep going down the road here. I think that double brokering, obviously we were talking about theft, double brokering was kind of right in there as kind of a subcategory. Just a huge issue this year. Obviously, large platforms.
Those were the
Those
days.
were the days, yeah. Large platforms have come out of all the double brokering situations like Highway. You see, eCarrierCheck. Yep. We obviously offer a free platform to vet carriers on there, but you've got a lot of people that are in this space right now, trying to help people, brokers specifically, make shippers and brokers make decisions.
I think a lot of people this year got super smart, or just trying to figure out what to be looking for.
Yeah.
So I love all the people that put out content out there that really help people kind of understand what they should be looking for when it comes to double broking, what questions you should be asking. So shout out to everyone that puts out content to kind of help keep other people's companies safe.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, they had to adapt. People in brokering had to adapt this year, or you were going to get loads stolen.
Right.
And double brokering just became. I mean, you had huge news in the FMCSA trying to stop this. In fact, they're trying to crack down on this next year. I think that'll be more of another story that's coming out next year. Right. As we get into that, and so I think that was one. Something that I thought was interesting. I'd be interested to hear what everyone thinks that's watching. The AI boom this year has been wild.
Yeah.
How are you using AI in your life?
Right now, well, I mean, from what I heard, I'm gonna talk about what I heard first, and then I'll jump into kind of me. But the AI, when it came to sending emails, to calling, to maybe even making calls, or to even like LinkedIn stuff. You see AI on LinkedIn now, and then you get messages in your inbox, and it's just like, okay, this is. You can tell it's kind of spamish. But that's what I've kind of seen when it's not me particularly, but to coming or making up content to make it, for me personally, to help make up content. Maybe if I were to write a paragraph that I'm going to maybe post on my LinkedIn, kind of help me like clean it up a little bit. Yeah. I think that you can use this to your advantage if you need help maybe cleaning up some things. Sure. Sorry, I'm bad at putting commas places, right? I'm sorry. But there's ways to help you clean up certain things in your life, and I think it was helpful.
That's fair.
I saw a lot of double brokering.
We utilize a lot of carriers. You can't say it was a huge issue for us directly. Yeah.
That's huge.
And that's huge. That's why I love to like some of the smaller brokers that we talk to. Yeah. They're big into using repeat carriers,
and we're big on just
being able to see that.
Yeah, and you're big on. We're both big on just making those relationships. So if you don't have any or have a whole lot of carrier relationships in 2025 going into it, I think you should maybe focus on that as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. I think as you continue to talk about the AI boom, obviously C.H. Robinson developed their own system. They started doing all autonomous or automated quoting. Which I think is wild. Circle Logistics, their SVP came out and said, we've completed over 100,000 AI-driven phone calls. Next year, we're projected to do 5 to 10 more thousand of that. It's reduced time, effort. So you can see that the bigger, brokers are really embracing some of this. The smaller brokers, I think some of them are using it, but it depends on kind of their situation or even what they're using for their tech stacks. I think someone that builds a TMS with AI-driven features or functions will be really powerful as those things start to come. I don't know if we've really seen a TMS that has AI features fully into it.
Yeah,
so.
not that I've really heard.
I'm sure the TMS companies are scrambling or adding things, but I haven't seen that. So
yeah, I can imagine in 2025 that you'll see a lot of TMSs maybe do that and just try to at least add some new features to their systems, right? I mean, everyone's trying to be different than each other.
Yeah.
So adding AI might make you a little bit different.
it might add a little flavor to
help.
just understanding who to utilize and things like that. So I could see there being some benefits on things that I haven't
seen,
that I can see.
Yeah,
so.
that's interesting.
Something else that I thought was interesting to just go with was the port strike. We interviewed that cat that was in the port, and we talked to him about how it affected his family and what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that guy, that bulldog that ran that union. What was that guy's name? Harold Daggett or something like that.
Yeah.
Boom! That guy was like, he's like, I'll cripple America.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was real deal Holyfield. And if you saw the news just recently, Trump stands with the dock workers. He said that he wasn't necessarily all the automation wasn't necessary. I saw some of the quotes.
Yeah.
But this port strike was real.
Yeah. We talked to a lot of people down there too that or in that area I should say that it really hit him hard. For how long did it last?
I can't remember. I think it was less than.
Was it less?
It wasn't as long as what people thought.
Right.
Less than 10 days.
But when that's your niche, it kind of seems like it lasts forever. When we talked to that guy, he's like, yeah, just standing, sitting here waiting, sitting at his desk waiting for things to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the shitty thing is sitting and waiting and not knowing the unknown, right? So I'm glad that's over with. And
well, they pushed it to January. Or they pushed it into 2025. Remember, they just put a Band-Aid on it.
Oh, okay.
They were gonna. I think they wanted to renegotiate some of the autonomous or some of the.
So they're just in the area where they, like, okay, we'll make you a little bit happy, but we're gonna talk later.
I think this is why Trump came out and said, "Hey, I'm not for this," and that's why I think that's coming out. So.
I wonder how many people that are just like, I'm over it, I'm gonna leave, I wonder how many people just quit.
Those cats make a lot of money.
Yeah. It's hard to leave if you're making that, yeah.
I mean, those cats make some cash. I would love, I don't know about you, you see those huge dinosaur-looking things at those ports that come on and pick up the things. Give me an hour in one.
Just,
you know what I mean? I just want to see. I don't think I would do anything. It's not like I'd run a container, through like a friggin' bowling ball, like a wrecking ball. Mm-hmm. But I would love to just try it for an hour and see what it would be like. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of ports in Nebraska.
No, no, but it would be entertaining to kind of go down there and maybe interview some of the workers and just kind of see how they felt about everything or what they're going through and just kind of see the day in the life. You know what I mean? I think it'd be entertaining.
Yeah. Absolutely. I did see, have you all talked to Nick Sorrell at Load Partner yet? He's working on some really amazing tools to help with check calls. No, Josh, I'll have to check that out. Maybe an introduction, man. I would love to have a chat with him. I'm a big fan of tech. Whether it competes with eCarrierCheck or not, I love it. I love to just see it and embrace it. So
that'd be cool to
any conversation with that would be super cool. I think something that's interesting, I think you'll see a lot more of this as we go into 25, is the M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and even fundraising. You saw Happy Robot just this last month announce a $16 million fundraise. You saw mergers and acquisitions kind of going up, which I thought was huge. Schneider, huge. Schneider bought Cowan. That was a huge acquisition. RXO bought Coyote. This one is kind of an interesting one for sort of that tech play, but Freightvana bought Loadsmith, and Loadsmith also did confirm, in social media that they purchased quite a few autonomous trucks. And so I think there's some interesting things that'll continue to come along with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Looks like Cheap Freight Hauler picked up a new customer this week. It's only one load every 2 weeks. Yeah. But my foot is in the door. Hell yes, that's awesome. I wonder. Yeah, that's. Go ahead.
We're gonna ask him
How'd you get it?
How'd you get this opportunity? What's your thoughts on declining Canadian market?
Yeah, I could definitely go into that. Picked up a new customer. I would be curious though, Chief Freight Hauler, because you're one of my favorite hazmat guys we have on our show. Did your new hazmat certificate get you into the door because you just leveled up your value or not? I'd be kind of curious. And Kit, what are your thoughts on the declining Canadian market? Man, I tell you what, and Kit, there's some interesting stuff. So a couple things about Canada right now that a lot of people aren't even talking about. There's been a postal strike going on for 5 friggin' weeks.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about it. And nobody gives a damn. They're like, yeah, we got the mail. Sort of.
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
Like, I don't know, it's the wildest thing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the declining Canadian market? I think it's going to continue to, personally. But I think it's one of those things where it'll be interesting to see what happens with this next administration and some of those things. I'm sure Trump and the Prime Minister up there will kind of work through things. They've always kind of worked through them, but
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see. I think the administration really controls that that aspect of things.
That's
so.
fair. Mike and Pete, I apologize. Yeah, we would still be open to talking.
I honestly, I'm always open to meeting people. I just love that.
Yeah.
It definitely, I don't think it will compete necessarily on check calls.
Yeah. We actually met. If we recap eCarrierCheck, we met with a lot of other tech companies, whether they're competing or not. It's just fun to be able to pick their brains on what they're seeing and what they're trying to tackle, like what their goals are.
Yeah.
And then we get to talk about the same. So we love talking with people that are just trying to change
absolutely
the industry in a way.
Let's just keep rising it up. You know what I mean?
We can work together somehow.
Definitely, always something of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico became the #1 import of country over China this year. That is wild to me. Now, I do know that, some of the tariffs that Trump put into place on China, it forced Chinese companies to move to Mexico. So maybe it's cheating a little bit, but it's all on North American soil, which I think is kind of unique in my mind, because now we can just deal with it on a truck or a train versus a ship. And so I think that's helped out a lot of the automobile industry, because that's where a lot of Ford and all them have plants down in those areas down in Mexico. So,
Nice.
But you also saw companies emerge because of the amount of freight moving. Cargado came out, and it's a load board essentially to find and help with ways of moving freight from Mexico into the United States. Yeah. So interesting tech that's out there.
Mexico's on fire.
Mexico's on fire with importing. It is. It's out of control. I even saw a post from the gentleman that's running Cargado, and he was talking about how many loads they've quoted on their board, and it was thousands.
Yeah.
And so to see that come up was awesome. If you remember earlier in this year, there was the railroad strike going into Mexico, and that kind of caused a little bit of a blip. But it seems like things are moving in that direction. So.
I love that. No hazmat loads yet. This came from a friend that I met on social media. Power of social media, man.
Power relationships, right there. You know what I would love actually next week, Chief Freight Hauler? The three of us should meet, and we'll give you a list of a few not brokers, but direct shippers that we see that are moving hazmat loads. So give us a call next week. We'd love to I'll show you 5 or 6 people to call, and we can go from there. What are your thoughts on major USA brokers setting up a team in Asian countries at cheap salaries? Yeah, if you were going to talk about trends this year, the outsourcing of a lot of operational things have happened this year, and that's happened with a lot of companies. The Philippines or Colombia. There's a lot of that kind of offshoring or nearshoring, I think is the $5 keyword there.
Majority for Canada to U.S. loads.
I think it's just one of those things that just happens. And what'll happen next? This is just my thought. Whether my opinion's right or wrong, I'll give you my thoughts here. Is that eventually the AI and technology will actually end up beating them out. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so then there'll even be another abrupt decline in that side of things. So I think it's really important this year to focus on leveling up your own skills so that you're above that fray of what potentially an AI bot would take over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just trying to get more.
Just think about, what do the next 18 months to 24 months look like?
Yeah.
I can promise you that AI will continue to infiltrate our industry. Autonomous trucks will probably be 4 to 6 years out, maybe.
Yeah.
Where it's a lot more, you'll see one fairly frequently. It'll come. It's coming. So those are my thoughts. Eventually, that nearshoring will just go into that side of it.
Yeah.
With their majorly for Canada to U.S. loads, majorly for Canada to U.S. loads. Yeah, I'm with you, Ankit. We haven't talked to Ankit for a while. When did we talk to him? A couple weeks ago, a month ago.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But just the Canadian to U.S. loads. What Canada does have on us is a lot of the natural raw material that we source in America we're just bringing her down, and so there's always going to be that side of it that I think are really important. That America will go, okay, yeah, we need that for limestone, things like that. We import some crazy raw materials, and raw goods, things like that. So there's always going to be that need for that type of trucking. In fact, I actually saw some statistics earlier on dry bulk and dump trucks and that sort of market continually growing as we kind of transition into here. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about you, and you subscribe to a lot of these news letters or articles, if you will, so you get to really see kind of what people are saying or writing about. Going into 2025, what do you kind of see, or what do you predict, or what do you want to see that some changes going into 2025?
Yeah.
What comes to mind right away?
There's so many, a couple things that were on my mind that when I was looking back at 24, you saw so many different lawsuits. You're seeing so much on this broker transparency and the FMCSA and, nuclear verdicts and things like that. So there's a lot of things that are coming, I wouldn't say to a close, but are giving advantages to brokers or carriers in those things. I think you'll continue to see a lot of different lawsuits that come out in 2025 on certain things. I'm not a legal guy or an economist, so I can't say that I can answer for those. Here's what I hope for is it's just a nice steady incline going into 2025. I really would love to see, and I've gone through the whip is what I'd like to call it, the yo-yo. But we've saw just drastic up and down. Yeah. I don't want to see that. I'd like to just see a nice steady incline, and let's go away from that shooting star approach and just get into just a nice rise. I don't think 2025 is just going to be a banger, but I think that everyone that has the ability to grow will grow because of the way that they're. We get these carriers calling us and saying, okay, I recognize I'm not getting my loads the way I should be. Yeah. How do I do it now? Yeah. And I think that's something that, as long as that people are willing to adapt and change to the market, that's my hope. Yeah. Just a nice incline. I do think that the administration will make a lot of waves, and some of those waves could have repercussions in one direction or the other, specifically with imports, exports, things like that. So. We just implemented Cargado at Freight Flex, great addition to the tech stack. Yeah, honestly, anytime you can we moved a lot of freight out of Mexico when I was a broker. We also moved a lot of freight out of Canada. And the headache that comes with moving freight out of Mexico is just different. It really is. So having Cargado in your tool belt as a tech tool, so important because it just greases the wheel and makes your life a little easier. Many sleepless nights dealing with Mexico freight. Worried about our driver safety, to our equipment coming back, to all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So Mexico is a different animal, and so Cargado is definitely a good tech stack.
So you enjoyed moving more freight from Canada to U.S.?
Yes, a lot easier. Okay. Canada, sign me up. I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of it. I think the people in Canada are nice. Yeah. I don't speak a lick of Spanish. I wish I did.
Yeah. Might make your life easier.
Maybe a goal for next year is to learn Spanish a little bit more. I know all the good cuss words. You know what I mean? Like, if we were going to do all the good cuss words,
Yeah.
I got them. I couldn't spell them, but I got them. I can call you every word in the book in Spanish. That's not the case with French. I can't tell you all the bad names for French. So
That's fair. Well, I appreciate that. You're pretty good at ordering off the menu. So you're all right.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do a show in 2025 on Spanish. You never
Oh
know.
my gosh, it'd be so good. I love it. The other thing, lastly, before we wrap this up today, obviously, for those of you who watch or know any brokers, man, Zinn was a wildfire this year.
Yeah.
I loved watching it. The brokers that we know all chew it. I can't say, have you had a Zinn? Have you tried it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
What did it do to you? Was it just like...
Give me a headache, and I was like, all right.
I used to chew when I played baseball. And it was nasty. Get in my teeth. I don't have the best teeth. I mean, I got okay teeth, but there's still cracks and crevices. So I'd have chew all over, like I'm like a 12-year-old kid eating my daddy's chaw.
Yeah.
But Zinn was just a hot commodity this year, and it was just kind of an interesting rebound even for that company that owns. I can't remember who's the.
I can't remember either.
Who owns? But I remember their stocks even going up.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they
because
enjoyed
they had
that.
they made an announcement. They put a new facility in somewhere down in the Mid-Atlantic area, like Tennessee or something. So, if you're a broker and you're zinning out, good for you.
Zinn and Red Bulls.
Zinn and Red Bulls are real, but I loved a good recap of 2024. It's been a wild ride. If you've made it this far, good for you.
Yep.
Congratulations. You've controlled your costs. You've controlled your cash. You've controlled your mental stability. I mean, this industry is wild and will make you scream. But I've loved meeting all the new people. If we were going to recap some of the people that we've met this year, there's been some amazing relationships, and that's what I think is important, is to look back on your 2024 and say, who were the people that I brought into my life that have changed my life? And we've got several. DIY, I don't know if he's watching. Cheap Freight Hauler. Although I've never met this cat in person, I just love his support. I like Tire Killer. All the people that are on here, the community has been just wonderful to grow, and I love the relationships. That's my number one news story for this year, is that the relationships that we've grown this year.
It's been amazing, man.
Yeah.
Truly a blessing. So, you guys, thanks again for joining us today. We're going to cut the stream off a little bit early today. Hope you guys enjoy your Friday. Have a great weekend. Watch lots of football.